Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new-ish kind of series segment thing that we're doing. Josh and Kim Escape, I guess is what I'm going to call it. I don't know. Maybe it's its
Working
unofficial title. I don't. Yeah. So if you've been watching the channel for a while, we did an escape room a little while back in Titusville. It was called Unlock the Adventure Escape Room. We were invited out, and we didn't do a review of it because we're like, whoa, this is the first one we've ever done. Like, the first real one, not just a tiny little one. And so recently we decided we wanted to do another one. Well, the goal last year was we wanted to go to more, but the whole, like, a lot of them weren't open and stuff like that, so we've kind of postponed it, but a lot of them are reopening now, and there's a ton in our area and like around. The only thing that's a little bit harder with escape rooms for us is a lot of them require more than 2 people, and so we did find a group of 4 to go to this one we will be talking about here called Escape Boardman Hotel. And this one we are going to actually do a review for. I don't know if these videos will be popular, so I don't know if these ones are going to be very consistently uploaded because, again, we have to be able to find enough people to go to a lot of these with us. But we do want to try to get to multiple this year and give reviews, if you will. Now, if you're used to our Haunt Talk series, most of the numbers except for Scare Factor are pretty this is our opinion on a scale of 1 to 10 on how good these things are.
Yeah.
But a lot of things on the categories we're going to be talking about, which I'll let Kim talk about the categories here in a minute, are a little bit more objective. Mm-hmm. They're just kind of like, oh, this is a rating on a level of this escape room. So if you kind of want to talk about the categories, what will we be rating on?
Okay, so we picked 5 different categories. We have theme that includes, sets and props, what the whole gist of the the whole gist of the escape room is.
And how well it's themed to that.
Yeah. Next is fright level. We are judging that. Even though I know that, we know that some escape rooms don't really have that, we still want to add that into it because there is a lot of haunted house elements in escape rooms we've discovered. And so, if they use it as kind of a distraction thing to get you to
they do.
Not to to lose your concentration kind of thing.
And this is definitely one of those categories that, even if it's a 0, that doesn't necessarily mean bad, but it's nice if you're watching and kind of wanting to know, is this one kind of a little more scary, or is this one more just completely family-friendly,
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of, horror-themed, like the one we will be reviewing, escape rooms.
Yeah. Then our next category is difficulty. There are varying levels. For this one, it recommended a certain amount of people. We didn't have that many people, so it was kind of, it might be a little bit harder for some people. It might be a little bit easier for other people. It just really depends on your mastery of these puzzles, so to speak.
Exactly.
Next is creativity. Just the way that they made the puzzles, how they helped you solve them or put them together and things like that. That's our
exactly how complex they are, or if it's just scavenging hunting for things, or is there multi-levels to each puzzle, that kind of thing.
And then of course we have an overall score,
and that's probably the only one that is fairly this is how much we enjoyed it on a scale of 1 to 10, and everything will be the same if you're familiar with our Haunt Talk series, and if you're not, go watch that.
Why not?
You should. We have tons of haunted house reviews. And I do feel that escape rooms are definitely haunted house adjacent.
Oh, yeah.
There is a lot of similarities between the two, but obviously haunted houses are a linear experience, where escape rooms, generally you're given an hour to leave the room. You're generally not actually locked in, because that's not safe, so you could leave at any point in most escape rooms. But, the goal is to finish the objective before the time runs out.
Yep.
That being said, that's a little preface for this video and kind of what we're going to be doing here. And also let us know if there's escape rooms that you want us to check out. Specifically, we travel some, but I'm looking more for the Ohio, Pennsylvania to Pittsburgh area, that kind of thing, that. And also watch our video on Escape the Adventure. It's not a review like this, but we do talk about it. And they have 3 escape rooms there, and it was really awesome.
Yes. Highly recommend.
Yes, highly recommend that place. And so, but today we're reviewing Escape Boardman Hotel, and more specifically than that, the escape room, it is Annabelle themed. It is called the Red Door.
Yeah.
They also have an asylum theme one, and they have one that's going to be themed to Michael Myers, coming out shortly, which I am excited to try that one. But this is the only one we've done so far. So we will get right into it, and we will start off with that. We will start off with the theme.
All right. So obviously, with the theming, it is The Conjuring. Mm-hmm. Pretty much every movie known to man that is involved in the Conjuring series. Anything that has to do with the Warrens. There was a big focus, though, on Annabelle.
Yes.
Valak, the nun.
The nun, yep.
And the Crooked Man.
Yes. And also, I just want to say real quick, if you're watching this and worried, we're not going to... We will sometimes vaguely talk about certain puzzles, but we will not do anything that will give a spoiler or help you solve the puzzles. It's just kind of knowing a little bit what to expect and our overall thoughts on our experience, just in case you're worried. Like if if you watch the series and you're like, oh, I don't want them to come to my escape room, I don't want them to spoil it for people. If you're watching this thinking like, oh, I don't want it spoiled for me, that's not the intention here. We're just kind of giving an overall, very generalization review.
Yeah. So, we thought that the theming was really, really well done. It was...
This one, I think altogether, it's kind of like, I would say there's like 3 sections in total. Yeah. Because eventually something opens up and then you're like in the big, and then you're like in a bigger section because these two kind of combine together. But it is themed to like the Warrens Haunted Objects Museum, which unfortunately you can't go in anymore in real life, but this is themed to that. And the objective, which I believe, I think it's like pretty much the same thing they say on the website, is Annabelle has escaped and you must put her back in her cage. So the object of the entire thing is basically to find Annabelle and
put her back in her
throw her
box.
back in her box. Yep.
Yeah. So of course you have, Annabelle doing things to you. You have Valak, the nun, doing things to you. And you even got the Crooked Man hanging out there doing some stuff. It was, I really liked how they combined, like, the mix of the movies and the real Annabelle. If you're familiar with the real Annabelle doll is actually a Raggedy Ann doll. In the movies, they use a doll that's got these creepy braids and stuff like that. I think she's gross looking, but anyway, I mean, she's not supposed to be adorable, but they actually mix them. So,
which I liked. Yeah,
I liked that because it was kind of confusing at one point because you're like, well, which Annabelle are we looking for? Because there's even like an area with like a bunch of dolls, and there was a mix of those dolls in there, and you're like, well, which doll do we need?
Exactly.
I'm very confused. What are we doing? Eventually you figure out which one you need, but it was. I really liked how they combined the movies and the real life Warrens and the real life stuff.
Yeah, because a lot of people might not have any idea that the Raggedy Ann doll is the real Annabelle and stuff like that. So the fact that they did kind of put that in there was cool. The Crooked Man thing that they had in there.
That was creepy.
Was really neat. The lighting was really cool in there. It was bright enough to see things, but as your time goes down, the lights might flicker and stuff like that.
And they had sound effects and different things happening, and just it really got you into that mode and stuff like that.
It was really well set up. There were some things, and again, we're not doing spoilers, but as you progress, there's some things that may move and open that you were not expecting, which I found really cool.
Yeah.
There's some things that are expected of you to do that you might have not had any idea that was even there before, and the way the things were revealed, I felt natural, and they do a good job at drawing your attention to certain things.
Yeah.
Which is nice. And there's cool suits of armor. There's just a lot of really cool sets and props in there. I really enjoyed, what they did, and a lot of it, like even a typewriter that's in there, it's a real old typewriter.
Yeah.
So
the sewing machine, that was really cool.
Yeah, that was really cool.
It was a really old-fashioned sewing machine, and it does tie into it and stuff. But they really put things in there that really helped tell the story.
Yes, which I liked. But for theming, we gave them a 9. We thought the theming was really good.
Yeah. So moving on to Fright level.
Yes.
So this does have a little bit of elements of a haunted house.
Yeah, it does, which I wasn't well, I mean, obviously it's horror themed, so I expect there to maybe be like a little jump scare here and there, you know, with like something activating and something happening and stuff like that. But the beginning of this thing is quite frightening. And again, we're not going to talk the puzzle, but basically it's a pitch black maze kind of thing where you're basically trying to figure out how to open up doors in tiny little rooms. So like I'm a little bit claustrophobic and I also don't like the dark, and these things both triggered that. Plus they have like whispering voices.
Yeah.
You know, and this is kind of like just the beginning of until you get into like the main room. And it was just really creepy to me.
It was so dark. So the person I was with, I couldn't even see him at one point, and I was just like
pitch black.
It
like
was so
nothing.
dark in there, and I'm just like, are you even still in here with me? Because I was terrified.
And of course, there is a puzzle involved. You know, to basically get out of each little tiny room, and because it's pitch black, like it's not a real hard puzzle that you're solving there, but it was very nerve-wracking and very effective. Very effective way to start everything. Because it just really made you uneasy, and so that when you actually get to like the main event, if you will, you know, you're already kind of in this like heightened sensed mode. So I really liked that. There are a couple things I could say that would be a little bit jolting, a little bit jump scaring. But for the most part, that's the only part that I would consider to be scary.
Yeah.
You know, because like, and again, we don't have a lot to compare it to, but the one in Titusville had a certain thing that about me and pretty much made me and Kim soul leave our body. You know, this doesn't have anything necessarily like that, but there are a couple things that are surprising that happened. One that I really like that I will not talk about or spoil, but if you've been to it, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. It happens when people are trying to solve a puzzle and something happens, and it was really cool, and it really gave me a spook, and I thought that was fun. There's a couple other elements as well. Again, with escape rooms, it's a little bit harder to talk about because you don't want to spoil things. Where the haunted house is, like, it's harder to spoil things like that. But just know that there is a little bit of a fright there. There's a little bit of one, especially in the beginning.
So we did give the fright level a 6. It's not super scary.
Yeah,
but
like still fine to take kids to. It's not something that's like, it's not like overtly gory or anything like that in there. No. A little spooky atmosphere in that beginning. If you're claustrophobic and afraid of the dark, it's going to mess with you a little bit. Because it messed with me a little bit. So that is something just to keep in mind. But yeah, nothing like overbearingly scary or anything like that though.
Right. So that moves us on to difficulty. This room was recommended for 6 people.
Yeah, in fact, on the website, it says that they run it only with 6, but I contacted them and they said, you know, there's something there's a puzzle basically that you need 4 people for, so if you find a 4th person, because originally it was only 3 that I had, they're like, we can run it. And so we ran it with 4, that's all. I tried to find a couple other people to make 6, but I couldn't find, so we ran it to 4. And we did finish the room, actually. We did finish it, I guess I should say that. We had 2 minutes almost on the dot left, so we almost didn't finish it. This one does seem, because now not all give you endless clues. The operator, the game, whatever you call them, I guess the game master, I don't know, like he gave us quite a few clues to help us along. We were really struggling on which really felt stupid, for the literally the last puzzle, and then once he didn't give us the answer, but a hint that gave me the answer essentially, and I'm like, oh wow, we're dumb. We should have known that. But still, yeah, so they will give you, like, endless hints when you're struggling, at least as far as our experience. But some will, like, give you, like, you have, like, 3 hints you can get for the entire experience. Yeah. Once you've used your 3, you're done. I kind of like that. Now, again, we haven't done that many, but maybe ones that are, like, less complicated, you don't need that many hints. But for just 4 of us, like, everything was designed really well, but, like, there were some times where things were a little overwhelming for just 4 people. So the hints... having the multiple hints really helped and kind of eased the frustration when things got a little bit more than we were able to mentally take. Yeah,
and we were just kind of running around and like, yeah, it was a time.
It was a time, yeah. A great. I love the strategy. I mean, there's a lot of strategy. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, difficulty. We do think that it is fairly high for this one. Nothing felt unfair, though.
No.
which is good. Nothing felt unfair. Everything felt like, especially if we would have had a couple more brains, we wouldn't have needed more hints, or if we had more time, which no one's given more than 60 minutes, of course, but we would have been able to figure it out on our own. Things weren't so obtuse where it was like, I don't know how anyone could figure that out. There was never an experience like that in this room.
Like, in fact, like, I was kicking myself after we solved the final thing. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh my God, we had it like 5 minutes ago, but we didn't use that,
Right.
and it was kind of frustrating, but it was like, at least we finished it.
Yeah. For difficulty, we gave them a 7. We thought it was pretty difficult. And again, just to restate, like, difficulty being high or low doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing at all. It's just we felt that 7 is a very fair place. Is a very fair place for difficulty. It's what I would say would be above what I would expect for average difficulty for like an easier room. So this one will present you with a little bit more of a fair challenge.
Yes. So that moves us on to creativity. This includes like how creative were the puzzles?
Right.
Did they really make you think? What did they use like to help with that? It just I liked how like the puzzles actually you needed those extra people in order to help solve them. Like one person would do one thing and something would get triggered and another person would have to go and look for it and then tell another person to do something that was pertaining to that trigger. It was really interesting how everybody had to kind of like separate around and stuff like that.
And it forces you to kind of delegate and be like, this person needs to be here and relating to this person, and this person can actually do the thing. There was a lot of that. There was a really cool section with the coffin that I really liked this section. Yeah. That was really cool. There was a lot of interactivity that required people there to come together. There's like this table in the one room that's kind of like a central point that there's a lot of puzzle solving around this one thing, and I liked how it was like kind of something that you had to keep coming back to.
Yeah.
I liked that. That was really cool. He said sometimes it can be kind of hard to talk about this stuff without spoiling it, so you kind of like skirt around. But the puzzles were complex and they were multi-layered, and it was cool how you would find something earlier on that you might not need till like way later. Like you'll see something and then like it's important, but it's not important yet. And I really liked that because it kind of like made you go like, oh, this is too like weird and out of place to be there. But there also was misdirection, which I liked too. There are certain things like there are certain things you would see and I'm like, well, this has to be something, but it wasn't. It was kind of there just to be like, because like your mind is in like the mode to like solve puzzles. Yeah. And so everything you see, be like, I bet this is something, but obviously not everything can be something.
Yeah. Like I'm not really spoiling anything, but for some reason, like, there were shelves with dolls and they all had plexiglass on them. And I'm like, do we need those dolls? How do we get them out of there? Like that was my concern I was like, how do we get to those dolls? And it was just really strange. And it was like, I'm not spoiling anything, but we ended up not even needing those dolls. But it was really strange because it was like, why are these like this? Like, what's going on? Like, how do we get to them? I was like all worried about like, oh, we're getting these dolls. We need to find something to open these things up and stuff. The
creativity I just thought was like really good. There's just so many things where I'm like thinking like, that's so inventive. It's just, there's just some really cool, and again, we don't have much to compare it to because we've only done a couple other escape rooms now, but, we go to so many haunted houses that I still feel like, we have an eye for things that are, when people are just kind of going through the motions just to make something to make a quick buck, but this didn't feel like that at all. This felt like something that people really put a lot of time and effort into, making. Because, I imagine designing an escape room has to be extremely hard because you're having to make something, try to make it challenging, but not so challenged people can't figure it out. You're trying, you're trying to make creative things, but also not so creative that it doesn't even make sense, and then also trying to make all of these things gel together. And it impresses me. It impressed me how well, that everything came together in this one.
So we did give creativity a 10.
Yeah, I could. Everything worked like so well and stuff. I just can't imagine it being much more creative than the puzzles that they had like designed. And also, I think it still impresses me that people can design these things. The same thing, like we said this a lot when we reviewed the other one. It's just like, wow. It's just like, so now we're going to talk about overall, and also like, We debated on doing like a value category like we do for the Haunt Talk, but we decided not to because like most escape rooms are 60 minutes, but we will say the price. So the price was $26.50 per person. Now this one will, if people are trying to book it, they will book the room to full capacity, but we were the only ones because it was like, I think it was a Thursday night that we did it. So no one else had booked it that night, so it was just the 4 of us. But just know if you book here that you potentially will get booked other people unless you book out the whole room. But you can call, I guess, and request like private bookings as well. The staff was very nice.
Yeah.
The guy was very helpful. They have like a little video you watch before you go in and everything. I thought that they very respectful, very nice. He congratulated us. It took our little picture, which is like on Facebook. If I could find it, maybe I'll like share it on like the page or whatever.
Oh yeah, I forgot to look for that.
And they have like little Annabelle things you can like hold up to your face, and I just thought that was really cute. But overall, everyone, the other 2 people that were with us, they just like everyone was just like, oh, we can't wait to go do the other one or whatever, because they have another location that's just called Escape Boardman, and they have like a wizard school theme and a vampire theme at that one as well. So we definitely want to check out the other ones, and I'm sure we'll probably be doing videos about those as well. But for overall, we gave them a 9.
Yep. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this one. I love the whole Conjuring theme and the spooky elements that it had to it and everything like that. I just thought it was really well done.
Yeah, it was. And, again, this is only like, we haven't done a ton of these, but I'm curious to see as we do more and more if we notice like quality, like dips and like peaks and stuff like that to really kind of see.
It's the same as haunted houses. I
would assume so, but the one thing that's nice about escape rooms, though, is that it's not dependent on actors so much, though.
Yeah, that's true.
And interestingly, maybe I don't know if they don't do this anymore or not, but I have a friend that did the Asylum one, and I guess they actually did have actors in that would, like, try and startle them and scream at them and stuff, and sometimes the actors would help with puzzles. So I don't know if that's something they do sometimes they don't. I don't know. Oh, again, we didn't do the Asylum one, so I don't know, but it looked like the only person that was there was the one guy that helped us out and was giving us clues.
I vaguely remember seeing something where there was one that, like, there was, like, a zombie, like, chained to the wall, and if you didn't solve a certain puzzle in a certain time, the zombie escaped and, like, you died. Like, he would attack you or something like that. I do vaguely remember that, like, right when they, like, first came out and stuff like that. But, yeah,
But yeah, not having actors as an element, I just feel like is huge because, that's such a big thing when we're rating haunted houses and the actors, but that's not something at all here. Instead, it's like, the creativity of the puzzles and the difficulty of it and that kind of thing kind of take its place. And I feel like when a creator has a little bit more control over every element, because like if you're a haunted house designer, you can't really, like, you can direct your actors and hope they all do the job you're telling them to do, but you can't constantly control the experience for them. Where an escape room, everyone's going to have the same experience, kind of, at least for, like, they're going to see the same things if they complete it. It's just how they're completing it and the experience they create together.
Yeah.
Is part of the fun. So I do feel like consistency in the experience is higher with something like this than, say, a haunted house where, like, I can't tell the amount of times where we've went to something, gave it a good review, and then people comment and said, well, I went and it was crap. There was one actor or something crazy like that. And it's like, so it's harder sometimes for us to review because people yell at us saying, well, you gave it an accurate review. And it's like, well, this is what it was when we went here.
This is what we experienced, yeah.
But with an escape room, unless something malfunctions, like, it should basically be the same experience that you're getting.
Yeah,
You might look at things differently, but
yeah, you might solve it differently but okay, yeah, there's
not a constantly changing element, which would be actors in something like that. But hopefully you found this helpful. Hopefully you enjoy listening us. If you enjoy our haunt reviews, you enjoy this. Let us know if you do, to let us know if it's something we should continue to do, going to different escape rooms. And also, again, if you know of any that you would like particularly for us to visit, let us know. We would like to get back to the one in Titusville because there's still one that we didn't do, and, actually do a full-fledged review on them. But again, go check them out. That one was awesome, and go check this one out. It is awesome as well. Make sure to check out our Patreon if you want to help support us, because YouTube pays next to nothing for smaller channels like us, so it helps support us. If you do that, we only have 2 at the time of recording this, so if you would like to be our 3rd, 4th, or whatever, that would be awesome. There's cool little perks and stuff like that you can get. There's a whole video on it on the channel as well, and there's always a link to our Patreon in the description. And of course, make sure you do all the YouTube stuff like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. actually has a cowbell in them. I think soon it'll be replaced with jingle bells when we put the
for
Christmas
holidays.
decorations up.
Yay!
Because that's also a thing. If you like the haunted house reviews, we of course will be trying to get to a couple of the Christmas haunts. I don't know how many yet. Should be at least 2. Should be able to get to at least 2, I hope.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye.